Hello everyone, welcome back to another analysis video. My name is Eustace, or the freshman trader, even though I'm not really a freshman anymore. If you have any name suggestions, hit me up. Anyway, so it is 10 p.m. here in Sydney. We're well into the London session, and if you guys are new here, these videos are just me going through some of the pairs which I'm looking to trade in the next few hours and in the coming session. Just a couple of levels I'm looking at. And yeah, we'll go from there. So we took a trade a few hours ago on CADJPY, and I'm going to break this down because it's a pretty nice trade. And it's a first trade that's actually going in our direction this week. We've had 2 losses so far. So we're down just a bit this week. So if we break this down, we can see initially in the past few days, price has been trending bullish for this pair. Then we had this little rundown. Okay. Now, the reason I'm going long on this pair is because if we look down here, we can see we've created a double bottom, and it's a bit hard to see, but once I click on the line chart, you can quite clearly see that little double bottom. Okay, so for me, that indicates that price is failing to make new lows, plus we have a break of this sort of downtrend, plus we have a break above the previous lower high structure, which is this right here. Okay, so as soon as I see this 4-hour candle break and close above all of those structures, I start thinking the market bias is bullish and I can start looking for buys. So at that stage, I flip to my entry time frame and we see a beautiful retest back to the key level, and now we see price pushing bullish really nicely. So very simple trade, entered with some wick rejections and that engulfing candle back to the key level to show that the sellers trying to push it back, but the buyers are really in control. Okay, very far from being over yet at all. We'll move it to break even once we hit our 1-to-1. But by the time this video is out, you'll probably get to see how this ended up. Okay.
If you're an aspiring technical analysis trader, we have a special gift for you. Right now, we're handing out copies of our technical analysis course 100% free. In the comment section below, you'll see a link to one of our team's Telegram chats. If you send us the message technical analysis course, we'll send you a copy totally free. This is a special thanks for supporting our content. Now back to the video.
But anyway, let's get going with some analysis and let that trade be. So we have a very similar situation here on Aussie dollar, US dollar. We can see price rally down. Now we started to push up, and if we click on the line chart, again, we can see that same sort of double bottom structure, except this one's a bit more expansive. So we have one there and one here, break above the previous lower high structure. If I flip to my bar chart, we can see price breaks above the previous lower high right there. And as soon as I see this 4-hour break and close above this level, I start thinking this is bullish market bias, and I start looking for price to push back to the key level. But we haven't quite gotten price to come back to this key level, but it still could definitely happen. So if we flip to our 1-hour time frame, we can see that price is beautifully pushing bullish. All we want to wait for now is, like I said, this 1 hour to push back to this key level, create some signs that it's rejecting this level, such as a wick rejection or multiple wick rejections, or even something like a double bottom pattern, and then I'll enter on some sort of engulfing candle. Okay, so my entry would look something like this if price was to push down. Let's say there's a wick rejection, then we see a nice bullish engulfing candle right there, make it a bit bigger. I would enter above this little engulfing candle, stop loss safely below that level, and I go for my 1 to 3s. Okay, stock standard little setup, but it's looking really promising. That's why I've got my alert ready for price to push back to that key level. Okay, if you look at New Zealand dollar, US dollar, it's a very similar setup, except on this pair, the 4-hour has not yet closed above the previous lower high structure, which is this right here. Actually, I correct myself. This is actually a continuation trade. Okay, so you can see in this one, we've already started to form this uptrend. We've created a higher high right here, and then we're looking to break and close above the previous higher high, which is this right here. So exact same scenario, we wait for price to push back, wait for those rejections, and then wait for price to continue on its bullish path. Okay. But for me, I still need to see this 4-hour break and close above this previous higher high. Okay. Let's continue to GA. Now, by the time this video is posted, again, I don't think this setup will be valid anymore, but I want to just go over it because I think it's a really good example of how I approach my trades. So if we look at this, we can see that up here is actually where this reversal happens. We can see that, again, price creates a double top structure right there. Okay. And this one's very clear. And then we break below the previous higher low structure, which is that right there. And we can see we actually break and close below this level right there. If we look at the 1 hour time frame on this sort of scenario, I was looking at entries, but I didn't get an entry. Okay, so I've identified the 4 hour is bearish as soon as this 4 hour breaks and closes below the previous lower high structure. Okay, then we can see if we just get rid of this, price starts pushing down, we create a lower low structure right there. We push back up to create a lower high right there. And now again, we've broken and closed below the previous lower low by closing that 4 hour right there. Okay, so as soon as I see that 4 hour close, I can tell myself this bearish market is likely to continue. Okay, we have a nice big bearish close. This was the cash rate news coming out, I do believe, from the British pound. And now, if we flip to the 1 hour, we can see price pushing back to the previous lower low structure, which it broke. And now it's presenting pretty nice weak rejection. And what do we see? Really nice engulfing candle potentially forming. Okay, so like I mentioned, I don't think this setup will be even valid by the time this video is posted, but it's a really good example of how my strategy works. So let's say this candle closes below this previous bullish candle. I would enter with my sell stop below there. Stop loss safely above the structure, not getting greedy, and I take my 1 to 3. Okay. If we look to the left, there is a bit of obstruction, but that's where I implement my break-even system, where if price moves 45 points, which is a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So let's say price moves 45 down there. By the time we reach these lows, I'll already be at break even. Okay, so it's definitely worth a shot taking this sell. And even if price bounces off here and then rejects that, we'll still get a break even trade, which I'm 100% happy with. Okay, so yeah, that's just a little breakdown of how my system really works. Okay, let's look at some setups which might be possible by the time this is posted. So GU, we can see literally the exact same setup, but it's just a bit earlier in its formation. So we can see price again breaking this sort of downtrend we had. We form a higher high right there. And now we can see we're pushing above that higher high with this 4 hour candle. So this 4 hour closes in about 45 minutes. So let's say this 4 hour breaks and closes above the previous higher high. Instantly from that, I can tell myself that I'm looking for buys because the market sentiment is bullish. Okay, the bullish structure tells me that. So I'm going to flip to my 1 hour time frame and probably set an alert somewhere around there, so I don't have to constantly sit at the charts. I can wait for price to push back, create those rejections, or even some patterns like a double bottom, and then I can look for entries. So again, repeat the process. Let's say we have a weak rejection and a engulfing candle to the bullish side. We can start telling ourselves, all right, the sellers are not in control. The buyers have taken up this pair and we're likely to continue bullish from here. And again, I'm not preaching that this is going to work every time, but what it does is it gives you a consistent approach. And when you use proper risk management, it's a very simple and easy to use system. Okay, so that's the plan for GU. GBPCAD is a very similar situation, but it looks like we might not even break above this little system. So you can probably already guess what my plan is for this pair. we can see we formed this sort of ugly higher high structure right here. And you can see it a bit clearly on the line chart. We can see that higher high right there, marked by that level. So I'm waiting to see if this 4 hour can break somewhere up here and close somewhere up here. That way I can start flipping to my 1 hour and start looking for some buys. Okay. Note here, this is a bit messy. Okay. I don't love this, but this is what I call higher time frame bias. Okay. So if we look at our 4 hour, we can see we had this big wick from the GBP news, and we can see the candle closed down here. Okay. So when I flip to my 1 hour, we can see it's a bit of a mess on the 1 hour, but if I was to get this entry requirement with wicks and an engulfing candle pushing off here, because I've marked my level on the 4 hour and that time frame has power over my lower time frames, I'm going to stick to that level. Okay. And I'm going to trust my system that this is the level I want to be trading off. If it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. It's 100% fine. We move on to the next trade. Okay. But I want to approach the markets as consistently as I possibly can. Okay. That's all that is, but that's the plan for GBPCAD. USDCAD, we can see moving in the opposite direction. Okay. So we can see here, if we click on the line chart, it might make it a bit clearer. We even have a little bit of a head and shoulders. So we can see left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Okay. So really, really nice setup that we got going on here. What I want to see is, again, this 4 hour breaking and closing below the previous structure. And we know it's a key level because prices failed to break below this level multiple times and failed. Okay. We can see some weak rejections in and around this area to show that price is respecting this. Okay. So when I see the 4 hour break below this level, I know that it's quite a significant shift in the market bias. So I'm going to start looking for sells. Okay. So I flipped my entry time frame. And again, you guessed it, wait for price to push back to this key level, create those weak rejections like that. And then we enter with some sort of bearish engulfing candle, sell stop, stop loss above the highs, and we take our 1 to 3. Okay, very simple system. And it's actually setting up really, really nicely. Okay, very simple, clean trade that we could potentially be taking. CADJPY traveling nicely. I broke this down at the start of the video. Okay, last few pairs, EURUSD. So here we have an absolutely prime reversal setup, and it might be a bit ballsy taking this, but I think it might be something that I'm definitely going to look at. So Euro has been getting smashed recently, as you guys probably know, and it doesn't help that the dollar is extremely strong as well. So, you know, I'm not much of a fundamental expert. I don't really trade fundamentals, but I can probably bet there might be some fundamentals that could back this up. I'm not sure though. Maybe ask Trader Nick. He knows a lot about fundamentals. So what I'm thinking on this pair, we can again see this double bottom forming right over here. Okay. And keep in mind that this is not yet concrete whatsoever. In fact, nothing is concrete in trading, but this setup is not even viable yet. So just keep that in mind. So I'm seeing a double bottom right over here. Then I'm looking for price to push bullish above this previous lower high structure right here. Okay. So this is the key level I'm looking at. And if this 4 hour can manage to break and close above this level, that's the first step into potentially taking this big reversal trade. Then I want to see the 1 hour push back to this level if we close somewhere up here. And I want to see a strong rejection of this key level with some weak rejections and an engulfing candle to the bullish side. Okay. But like I said, keep in mind, you know, this is not even an option right now because it hasn't closed above the level. Okay. We can even start to see some weak rejections forming. And in fact, I'd probably say the more likely route this is going to go is this is going to wick right down and we're going to continue bearish from here, or at least consolidate in here. If that happens, we do the exact same thing, but just continue riding the trend, and we look to enter with the exact same sort of system at this level as we break below this key level. Okay, but those are two scenarios which I'm looking at. It would be pretty cool to catch the reversal, but you know, you can't hope in trading. You just have to react to what happens. But maybe, who knows? Okay. Last pair, Euro Swiss franc. So here's another really nice pair to, pardon me, and a really nice setup to capitalize on the euro weakness. So we can see clearly we've created a lower low right over here, broken and closed below the previous structures, which price has failed to break below multiple times. Okay, so we can see the market bias is bearish, very clear lower low being made. We now flip to the 1 hour and we analyze this. We can see that price is pushing back. Okay, because we sort of have this red candle in here, I would prefer to see a double top on this structure just to make sure this behavioral flip happens. Okay, so we can see this is almost like a higher high. Let me get rid of this. This little candle right here almost creates a little higher high. Okay, and you can see that when I pull this across, if price pushes back up to this key level, we'll almost be creating a little uptrend. Okay, we'll be making a higher high, and then when price pushes, there'll be a new higher high somewhere around here. So I'm not going to start selling just because price is at this level. And that's when I utilize my double top or double bottom, in this case, double top. So I want to see price push, again, create weak rejections, and again, create that engulfing candle. But this time we want to look for most likely a double top forming and looking something like this. And we enter on that second touch and execute the exact same way. Simple as that. Okay. CADJPY booming. Let's go. Okay. So hopefully we can see some of this pass through. But anyway, please keep in mind, you know, these are all just ideas, especially this one. This is a pretty bold statement to make, but I hope you guys enjoy the week. And if you haven't already subscribed to A1 Trading, please do so. They are a really great YouTube channel and company, and they provide a lot of free value and benefit to the whole trading community. So subscribe. See you guys soon.